Rog Phone 2 versus the Galaxy Note 10 Plus. Let's get ready to rumble!
Perfect.
So with the intro out of the way, this video is purely going to be a comparison between these two phones. I mean, it's hard to pick a winner. Both of these are flagships, both of these are quite expensive. The Rog Phone 2 has finally released internationally and you can get it for about £830 or $900. The Note 10 Plus is about £1,000 retail, but I've seen it commonly on eBay for about £700 to £800. Similar savings can be made all over the world. Not too much waffling on this one, let's just get straight into it. So with the previous videos, you should know by now, all phones are judged on the trial by triage, where you've got the display design, camera quality, battery life, horsepower and all the gimmicks in the middle, the specs for the Note 10 Plus. And as you can see, it's a powerhouse. The ROG Phone 2 coming next, and it's somewhat of a bigger powerhouse. Nevertheless, both of these phones are flagships, and we're going to do a quick cold boot. The app tray has been cleared and we're going to see which one with a bit of magic of video editing starts first. Clearly the ROG Phone 2 with the Snapdragon 855 Plus. Now both of these are in and I'm going to have to do some editing so you don't see my pins, but what we're basically going to be doing is launching some commonly used apps. We're going to start with the phone app and see which one manages to launch it first. In this example it looked like the ROG Phone 2 was up by a split second. But navigating through the UI for this app, we can see they're both pretty much neck and neck. Moving on to camera, again very much similar times, very close to each other, nothing to really separate them. Looking at Google Chrome, this is where you get to see what I've been looking at. I don't know why I was looking at Canon cameras, but they start the same pretty much. Now with WhatsApp, the ROG Phone 2 was clearly the winner, but we're talking milliseconds. Now we look at Google Maps, and the Note 10 Plus had a lock on the location the same time as the ROG Phone 2. There's not really much to separate these phones, even though when it comes to pure gaming horsepower, they're very different. You can see Antutu scores are quite separated. The ROG Phone 2 comes in at number 1, being the world's fastest phone, and my device on this test was 10th. I won't bore you with the specs here, but suffice to say, everything about the ROG Phone 2 in every aspect of its performance and hardware and horsepower is better. One thing I noticed here, the multi-app window is a lot smoother transitioning on the ROG Phone 2. I wish Samsung adopted this. 3D Fire Strike I tested, and again no surprises here, the ROG Phone 2 comes up ahead, punching above 60 FPS in some of these tests because it has a 120Hz screen and can actually utilize it. An in-depth display test at this stage, recorded on the GH5 at 120 FPS. This will not be the most accurate depiction of what you can expect, but it will give you some idea as to where this 120Hz display really comes into its own. It's a lot smoother, and you should be able to see, even though this is played back at 24p on YouTube, that the smoothness as you're going up and down different app screens, whether it might be this app screen or Google or anything else with a continuous feed like Instagram or Twitter. But nevertheless, you can see here that the ROG Phone 2 is a lot smoother in every regard. But that's not to discount the Note 10 Plus. Its display is so immersive, it will have you feeling hypnotized. Both of these can fit in trouser pockets if you're a bloke. If you're a lady, you might struggle. Well, that's where the handbag comes in. And if you're a man with skinny fit trousers, you could always put it in your man bag or fanny bag or whatever you call it. But there's options for everyone. Now, whether you're a bloke wearing normal trousers or not, you're going to look very happy to see everyone you see with either one of these in your pocket, because they're both unapologetically large. Moving things on to the battery test. This is the ROG Phone 2 at the end of 2 days of use. It has managed to reach this point with 19% of battery left, even though it's 11 o'clock in the evening. How does it do this? I have no idea. More than likely it has something to do with that 6000 mAh battery, and I have to say at this point I'm quite convinced that Qualcomm processors are a lot more efficient than the Samsung Exynos variants, even though they shouldn't be much different, and in the future I'm sure they're not going to be very different at all. As a comparison, as this obviously is a comparison video, here we have the Note 10 Plus at the end of day 1. Now granted, this is heavy use for testing, but it's down to 16%, and that's shockingly different from the ROG Phone 2. The standby modes and the standby battery conservative features on these Samsung Galaxy phones are just nowhere near what the ROG Phone and the Qualcomm processor set has to offer. Both of these have been used vigorously, and you can see the difference is day and night, literally one whole day. Moving on to camera quality, this is the ROG Phone 2 at 30 FPS. Now you can see it doesn't look too bad. At this stage it looks nice and smooth, and dynamic range seems to be on par with what you'd expect. But as soon as you move it to 60 FPS, it dulls down a lot and it just doesn't look as great. The colours don't pop and it feels rubbish. Selfie camera. This is the front facing selfie camera, and I don't know if you can tell, but it's not very wide. It's at full arm's reach. It gets hit by the sun a lot. Look at this. What the hell is this? I don't know about the audio quality, but we'll find out in post. And let me take a second to pause and tell you, it sounds rubbish. There's no other crazy modes out here. It only does full HD at 30 FPS or 60 FPS. No 4K in the front selfie camera. Even though it claims to be 24 megapixels, I do believe it struggles with dynamic range a lot. This isn't going to be a devout Instagram self-lover, vlogger, selfie queen person's phone. Moving things on, here's the Note 10 Plus with the optical image stabilization on. Now the ROG Phone 2 can't hold a candle to this. The footage is absolutely awesome, especially the fact that you can grade it. Now as a reference, here's my GH5 with 5.5 stops. Now we're going to move it on to the Note 10 Plus's selfie camera. This is the super crazy bokeh mode, which looks absolutely ridiculous. There's a bit of exertion going on here, and you won't get that hyper steady mode either that you're afforded by the rear cameras. But nevertheless, this is still a lot of progress when it comes to mobile video recording. Glitch effect, as you can see, it's all bugging out, it's all going wrong, it's all glitching up. Not really a fan, but maybe it'll be useful for some people in certain scenarios. This black and white mode, to be honest, doesn't look that bad. It's able to isolate me as the subject and keep the whole background in a completely different color. Now for a speaker test between both of these phones, wear some headphones to hear it properly. What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Jaff Man. I'm your host, Jaff. Perfect. What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Jaff Man. I'm your host, Jaff. To work with. I was a Note 8 user from the day of launch, and I skipped the Note 9 because if you already had a Note 8, you can still get this phone from China, the Tencent edition, as long as you can live without banking apps on this, and it's only £450. That's like half the price the Note 10 costs, and half the price of any other flagship, whether it's an Apple iPhone or the new Google Pixels or whatever it may be. £450 is like a mid-range phone price, but for that you're getting the world's fastest phone, the fastest in the world. If you're happy to live with a China phone, then this is the winner. If you're happy to get these phones at your own home market, then I would say get the Note 10 Plus, unless you're a die-hard gamer. So there's no real clear winner. The display on this is nicer, the display on this is more responsive, the battery life on this is better, but you have wireless charge on this. You have a 120Hz refresh rate on this, but the immersion factor of this is above all else. The camera on this is above all else when it comes to comparison between the two. So it's really what you're really after. But with all this said, what phone would you rather have and why? And if you want to talk to me about this, hit me up in the comments below. And as ever, subscribe, give me a like or a dislike, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Perfect.